Take a second and quiz yourself. What does the k represent in y equals kx? Think about it for a second. What does the k represent? If you said the k represents the constant of proportionality, you are correct. The k represents the constant of proportionality. Remember, when we are writing an equation to represent a proportional relationship, the k is the only variable that we substitute a number for just to write the equation. If we were going to use the equation to solve something, we might substitute something in for y or for x. But when we're just writing the equation, we're just looking for that constant of proportionality. So let's try another example of writing an equation to represent a proportional relationship. So a confession is that I really like chocolate. I really like baking, and so I like making brownies all the time. And when you cook, a lot of times you have to do things that involve math. So I decided that one pan of brownies was just not enough. One pan was just not good enough. I needed more than one pan of brownies. So I made 3 brownies. Here's 1 pan, 2 pans, and 3 pans of brownies. In order to make these 3 pans of brownies, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cups of sugar. 6 cups of sugar. And I want to find the equation or write an equation to represent this proportional relationship. The first thing I need to do is find the unit rate, and that's how many cups of sugar I need for 1 pan of brownies. And I can do this without even setting up my fraction if I want to. The way that I can do this is just by dividing the cups up evenly. So I'm just going to divide them into 3 equal groups because I have 3 pans of brownies. So the first group would go with this pan of brownies, the second group would go with this pan of brownies, and the third group would go with this pan of brownies. So each pan requires 2 cups of sugar, or in other words, I need 2 cups of sugar per pan of brownies. So my unit rate, and I'm going to use C to represent cups and P to represent a pan of brownies. My unit rate is 2 cups, or 2C, per 1 pan of brownies. 2 cups per 1 pan of brownies. If I'm going to write my constant of proportionality, I'm just going to get rid of the fraction. Get rid of the fraction and the units, and I'm just left with a 2. Now when I go to write my equation, I know that I need to have it in the form of y equals k times x. But I'm a little confused because I don't see any y and I don't see any x. I don't see a y and I don't see an x up here. All I see is a c and a p. So how do I know which one goes where? How do I know which one goes where? Well, you can look at your unit rate to solve this problem. When you have a unit rate, remember your denominator is 1. Whatever your denominator is, or your unit that is 1, is always x. So right now our p represents x in this situation. That's the variable that is represented as 1. And then our other variable, our c, is going to be y. So in other words, when you have a unit rate, you have y over x. Y is always on the numerator and x is always in the denominator. So when I write my equation, instead of writing y equals k times x, I can use these other variables. I can use c and p. And so instead of writing y, I'm going to look for which one stands for y in the numerator, and that's c. And I'll write that here. And then x, instead of using x, I'm going to look for the variable that x represents, and that is p. And I'm going to write a p here. So instead of writing y equals k times x, I'm writing c equals k times p. It means the exact same thing, but it just gives us a little bit more information about our problem. And then the last thing that I need to do is substitute in a number for k. I need to substitute a number for k, and k just stands for the constant of proportionality, which I already found out was 2. So I'm just going to get rid of my k and write a 2 in its place. So my equation now is C equals 2 times P, or C equals 2P.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.